Hey, what's up, guys? Back with another video here, and today we're going to be talking about tips and tricks for Star Wars Celebration. Let's go. All right, guys. So I wanted to make this video today because lately I've been having a lot of people comment and ask questions about Celebration and like different kind of things. So people just asking about how the tickets work, asking about panels, asking about autographs. So I thought I'd kind of make this one video kind of covering all of that. That way you know what to expect if it's your first celebration or if you're just trying to save and plan to be able to go to the next one if you can't go to this one in London. So I'm going to kind of break it down and go over a lot of the key things. So tickets, hotels, panels, the collectibles exclusives, and then some final tips and tricks for you to use when you do go if you have tickets ready or for your first one. So the first thing we'll talk about is tickets. You can't go if you don't get tickets. So luckily for the people who want to go to London and can, they are restocking the tickets this Friday. So, like in the comments that they made in their post celebration, I didn't see them restocking 4-day tickets, but it's possible. But they said they're going to have more single day tickets. So, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they're going to add since they sold out of all those, and Monday is still there. So, for those of you that wanted to go, tomorrow at 5 p.m. GMT time, you have a chance to get tickets. So the first thing that's crucial to go to Celebration is getting the tickets. Now, my first celebration in 2017, we only did 2 days because it was my first time, and I'm like, oh, 2 days should be enough, but it definitely wasn't. So since then, I've been to either all 4 days or all 5 days, depending on which one it was. So for this one, I'm definitely doing 4, but I had a lot of people say, because of work, school, this or that they can't go for all 4. So if they only go for one, they were kind of asking what day is the best. It's kind of hit or miss. It really depends. Now, if you're only going for one day, you can't expect to do and see it all. There is one big major panel each day, and then there'll be tons of other panels throughout the day that you just walk in. But that one big major panel, you have to enter a lottery for. So usually about 2 to 3 weeks before the celebration, on the celebration site, you'll be able to officially enter the lottery to win a spot at that panel. And then say if you enter and don't win, they usually do have a standby line where you can wait in line. And if the hall doesn't fill up, then they let people in. So you still do have a chance, but keep that in mind. If you're only going for 1 or 2 days, there is a chance you might not win that panel that you wanted. So other options would be that standby line, or usually in the exhibit hall by like the one of the main stages, they'll usually have it on the screen for the most part. So you could potentially watch it there with a crowd of people, but it really depends. So yeah, that's one thing to keep in mind. So usually the juicy panels are usually like the first 1 or 2 days. Typically, I know in Anaheim, day one was the Lucas Showcase panel, which was crazy. I think they did the Attack of the Clones the second day. So the third day was the Mando Plus panel, which we saw Mando stuff and Ahsoka stuff. So it's kind of hard to say how they'll do the panels in London. 2 panels I know for sure we're gonna get is an Ahsoka panel. Like we have to get the trailer and a release date. I just don't know what day they would do that. And then another one that we have to get is the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. So, but as far as the other panels, I'm not sure what they would do. One cool panel that is a walk-in would be on Monday, the last day, the closing ceremonies panel, which kind of recaps the entire weekend, which is kind of cool if you weren't there. You kind of get to see everything that was done. And then they also announced there first when and where the next celebration will be. So I know in Anaheim, we were in that panel. It was the last day. It was like 4 o'clock, like right before it closes at 5. And we were there for the announcement for London, which was crazy. So that's another thing to keep in mind too, that if you do go on that last day, you will have a chance to see that closing ceremony and you'll know when and where the next one is. So that's the tickets part, right? Now, next would be getting your hotel. So the sooner you book your hotel, the better. So here's a little trick that I did. So in Anaheim, in that last panel for the closing ceremonies, when they said it was London, I literally hopped on Expedia.com on my app on my phone, and then as we were walking out, I was booking a hotel in London because I knew when it was, I knew the location. With Expedia, a lot of times they have it where you can book hotels and you just pay when you get there and you have free cancellation. So there's no risk. So I booked my hotel right away. So for you guys that maybe aren't going to London but want to go to the next one, the minute it's announced, book something quick. Because literally, when the tickets release for the next one, that same day, all the hotels sold out. So like when London Celebration tickets finally released, I looked on Expedia that day and almost every hotel was gone and double, triple the price it was when I booked it. So definitely keep that in mind where if you do know you want to go to 2024, if there is one, or 2025, book the hotel right away and try to get one as close as you can to the venue. That's my next little trick, and that'll save you some money too, is try to get your hotel as close as possible. That way, say if you're there and you buy a bunch of stuff, you could just do a quick trip to the hotel, drop it off. Say you're there and you've been walking around on your feet for 4 or 5 hours, you can go back to the hotel, take a quick little power nap, come right back. So it'll make life easier in that sense. Also, it'll help you save on parking too, because instead of paying a park, if you're walking distance, you can walk, or if you're close within like a mile or two, you can just take a quick Uber. Usually that Uber will be cheaper than parking and a lot quicker. So that's just something to keep in mind for when you're planning to go in hotels. All right. So next up, I kind of talked about it with the tickets, but panels. So everybody wants to go to those big panels, but just keep in mind, especially if it's your first one, there's a good chance you might not win that raffle. So just to be real, there's a good chance. So don't let that ruin your day or bum you out, because there's still so much more to see and do. And then if you're only going for that one day, look at all the panels and look at the guests, because a lot of times these big stars are sometimes in these smaller panels too that you could just walk into. So just keep that in mind, that there will be other panels, and like you'll stay busy enough on the showroom floor. There's so much to do and see. There's always a bunch of different cosplay meetups where they're doing a lot of cool photos, all the vendor booths, the vendor tables. You're going to see all sorts of cool stuff that people are selling. And then usually like the big brands are there too, like Funko, Lego, Hasbro. So you get to see a lot of cool stuff. You'll get a lot of free stuff. A lot of times they're passing out free things. So just keep that in mind for the panels, that it's sometimes going to be tricky and tough to get into. And if it doesn't, don't let it ruin your experience. You'll still have a lot of fun doing other things there. And now the last thing is the collectibles, the exclusives. So usually beforehand, they'll let you know what is exclusive just to Celebration and what booths have it. And usually if it's a bigger brand, sometimes you have to enter like a lotto or a raffle. So just keep that in mind, that you may enter for us. Like, so say Funko, for example. Funko usually is always a raffle. So you may enter it and you may not get it. And then like I know in the past, Lego has done raffles, Hasbro has done raffles. So don't let that bum you out as well, because a lot of times people will win raffles, and there's a lot of people that just enter everything even if they don't want it and they don't show up. So almost every single time there's stuff left over. So with Funko, usually they'll have like a line where you could line up to wait for when all the reservations are done, all the raffle winners are done. So usually like it'll be like at 2 or 3 o'clock. At 2 or 3, once all the reservations are done, if there's anything left over, then they let everyone in. So you still have a chance. I know in Chicago, I heard on the last day that the Hasbro had a ton of exclusives left over and people were just walking up buying them. So there is still that chance. So that's for the ones with raffles. Now for the other ones, it's going to be exclusive to that booth, to that vendor. And if you want it, they usually have a limited amount each day, and you got to get to that booth right away. So for the ones that are first come, first serve, be sure to plan that out and make sure that, okay, I want to go to Lego. They have a set that I want. They're only going to have 50 every day. I need to get to the Lego booth first. So you're going to want to keep that in mind. And again, all the info for the exclusives will come out beforehand, so you can kind of have an idea of what you want and what's a raffle, what's first come, first serve. And sometimes there's just stuff that there's a bunch of, you can just walk up and get it at any time. Now, besides the official like exclusive collectibles for the show, they're gonna have tons of stuff there. So depending if it's like a big brand, they might have their newest releases, they might have some new stuff early, they might have some older stuff. And then you have your local vendors that buy and rent booths and tables there. So you might find some vintage retro gems. They might have a lot of newer stuff. So they might have a store, or maybe it's a collector who's like, has a lot of stuff in their collection they want to sell, get rid of. So you'd be surprised some of the crazy things you find there. And sometimes they're super cheap. You'll find a lot of gems at a great deal. Sometimes they're super expensive. So it's going to vary for sure. But you're going to want to definitely walk around that floor and take a look at things and prices, because you might see something at one booth for a certain price. You go to another, it might be half the price. You go to another, it might be double. So definitely keep that in mind while you're making your rounds. So, all right. So the last thing I got are a couple tips for if you do have your tickets, if you're going and like for your first day there. So the first most important thing is wear comfortable shoes. Like, you're going to be on your feet all day. You're probably going to get there a couple hours before it opens. Then the show is like from 10 to 7. And if you're there for the whole day, that could be a 9, 10, 11-hour day. So keep that in mind. Wear the most comfortable shoes you have, period. Or buy super comfortable shoes. Like, I always go in like a new pair of like comfortable Nike running shoes. That way I feel good for the whole day. So you want to be comfortable because you're going to be there for a while. Next is bring a water bottle. So my first celebrations, I was just buying drinks there, whether it was soda or beer here and there. And like that stuff adds up, especially if you're there for 4 or 5 days. So for the last one, I brought my trusty Boba Fett water bottle and fill this bad boy up all the time. So that was one thing I saved on, was just the drinks. And that's just more money that I put towards collectibles and other stuff. So keep that in mind. There are tons of water bottle refill stations everywhere. Stay hydrated. Next is snacks. So if you do get there early and you're waiting 1-2 hours to get in line, or say if you get in and you're waiting a couple hours of the Funko line to get in, or for a spot in the panel, you're going to be there for a while. Bring snacks. I always bring a bunch of things in. You can bring a ton of snacks, little whatever it is, little cookies, crackers, chips, sandwiches, whatever you want. You could bring that food in. So definitely bring snacks if you're going to be there for the full day. Another one is a battery bank. So like a charging battery bank, something that way you could keep your electronics charged up, because your battery will go quick. So that's one thing people forget on, is bringing like their cell phone charger cord, iPad cord, whatever device that you have with you. Bring a power bank. That way you can keep it juiced up, whether it's like one of those external power banks you could plug in, or if it's like one of the magnetic ones you could put on the back of your phone. Definitely have some sort of juice and power with you. And then the last one is just, I always try to have a little bit of cash and cards. Most people nowadays take cards, but every now and then you might find a table where they might have some vintage stuff that you want, and it could be an older person and it's like they only take cash. So keep that in mind, that some spots rarely might be cash only, and you don't want to go to a table and they have something that you're dying for at a great price, but they're cash only and you don't have cash. So definitely have a little bit of cash with you, but then also have card with you too. So typically I'll try to use my card everywhere they take card, and I'll try to save the cash towards like the end of the day, or like the last day or two, just so I know like what's what from being there. So that's the last little thing that I have for celebration. So again, hopefully this guide will kind of like help you out and give you a little bit more insight and tips and tricks for if you do go, or if you're planning your next one. In the comments down below, let me know if you have any questions or anything I missed, or any other tips and tricks that you have if you've been to Celebration. That's pretty much it for this video, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, drop a like. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.